I know, countdown. It's okay.
The Lochanastaco says. Babrababrb. Botrix says. Botrix has correctly joined the channel.
Pet book initiated. YouTube initiated. YouTube almost initiated. Doesn't want to work. Okay.
Tang picked up his phone, read the message again.
No. Start a chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Woke up transmigrated as a cat. On a Sunday afternoon, a boy sat at a window seat in a coffee shop outside Gwangju University. Here's the cappuccino you ordered. The waiter set down the coffee cup. Thank you, the boy said politely. The waiter walked away with his tray, but couldn't help turning back for another look. The boy had delicate, refined features and a handsome, gentle appearance. His skin was remarkably fair, even more so than most
The
girls.
Lochanastaco says.
He was just strikingly
There's
thin.
a bug.
He waited and waited, but the
Bug
person never arrived.
insulting me.
His
Insulting my
calls
honor.
went unanswered.
The
Only
Lochanastaco
after a
says.
long delay did he receive a message. Traffic jam. Will be late. Yi Ju. Fang Tang picked up his phone, read the message again and again, put it down, and then opened his sketchbook. Each drawing in it consisted of only a few strokes, but they all outlined the figure of the same person. These were all drawn when he was in high school. Some depicted him making a three-point shot during a basketball game, others showed his gentle profile as he explained a problem to him, and still others captured his radiant appearance during a debate competition. His sketchbook was filled with Yi Ju. After entering university, he had stayed in Gwangju, while Yi Ju went to Beijing. They had begun a long-distance relationship, and hadn't seen each other for half a year.
Oh my god.
He wondered what he looked like now.
I think
Lost
it's
in
a fucking
thought,
moth.
Fang Tang picked up his pencil, about to start drawing in his sketchbook, but for some reason, his attention was drawn
The
to a small black
Lochanastaco
cat
says.
outside the window.
Mothfriend.
It looked no more than 2 months old, very thin,
on my
its
neck
fur
is a
dirty and
friend.
matted. It peered at him
Matter
through
of
the
fact,
glass,
I fucking
timid and
grabbed that thing
apprehensive.
with my thumb and
For
forefinger
some
and
unknown
fucking
reason,
threw it on the
Fang
ground.
The
Tang,
Lochanastaco
who had
says.
originally intended to draw Yi
Mothfriend.
Ju, found that the figure appearing in his sketchbook at the moment of the stroke was that of the little black cat. Its fur was all puffed up, its eyes were round, its small body trembled, and its tail was curled up. The little black cat sat by the window for a while, then quickly disappeared. Fang Tang took a deep breath, turned to a new page, and began to draw the figure he was most familiar with. In the 6 months since they'd last seen each other, he'd become even more striking. He was drawing Yi Ju from memory. In his drawing, he sat on the other side of the coffee table, his eyes filled with tenderness and warmth, his thin lips slightly parted, as if whispering his longing for him. The waiters in the cafe had been whispering and glancing at Fang Tang, but when Yi Ju pushed open the door and entered, many of their gazes fell on him. He was 1.85 meters tall, with a handsome, slightly sharp aura. Most importantly, he was dressed head to toe in designer clothes. He was a natural clothes hanger, and these designer clothes further enhanced his outstanding presence. He glanced around, his gaze landing in the corner, and he walked straight over, sitting down opposite Fang Tang. "You're here? Was there a traffic jam?" Fang Tang put down his pencil and looked at the person opposite him. They hadn't seen each other for half a year, and he had become even more handsome. His features had become more defined, gradually losing the boyish look of his high school days. He really couldn't capture his current handsomeness in a drawing. However, a flicker of impatience flashed through those beautiful eyes. We shouldn't have met around here. Fang Tang lowered his, closed his sketchbook, and said softly, I'm sorry. Silence fell between them. It hadn't been like this between them before. When they
It's
first
fucking
started
shit.
dating,
It's fucking
Yiju always
Control
had
and
endless
Alt.
things to say to him.
So
Fang
this
Tang would
thing,
look at him with ardent eyes,
can't tell if
responding
it's my
carefully.
watch band that was on
Now,
too tight that's itching, or if
Fang
it's a
Tang
bit me.
decided to find a topic
Alright,
himself.
anyway.
How
Control
many
and
days will you
Alt.
be staying home for the new year? Yiju seemed not to hear his question, interrupting directly. Fang Tang, I asked you out today because I have something to tell you. Fang Tang felt as if his heart had skipped a beat. Let's break up, Yiju said quickly. Fang Tang looked at him in disbelief. What? I said, let's break up. Yiju emphasized, adding a few degrees of blame into his tone, as if he felt it wasn't something worth saying twice. Fang Tang felt a ringing in his ears, as if he couldn't hear anything. His heart was pounding erratically. He instinctively lowered his head, not daring to look at him. This was the sentence he feared hearing the most. At this moment, he felt as if the blood in his entire body had frozen. He didn't know why, but a sharp pain pierced his chest. Seeing that he didn't answer, Yiju's face was covered with a layer of coldness. Let's break up. Long-distance relationships are too meaningless. We agreed to go to university in Beijing together, but you changed your mind and stayed in Guangzhou. I've had enough during these 6 months. Fang Tang finally forced himself to raise his head, wanting to hear clearly what he was saying, but heckled only hear some intermittent words reaching his ears. He didn't know what his expression was, nor did he know what he said. Before Yiju left, the last sentence Fang Tang heard him say was, give up. I don't love you anymore. Fang Tang didn't know how he walked out of the coffee shop, how he got home. It seemed that from that moment on, his memory was completely blurred. When he next felt the movement around him, he was already sitting at the dinner table. Fang Tang, why are you so inconsiderate? His mother's scolding came down on him like a ton of bricks. It's the weekend, and you don't even know to come home early to keep me company? I raised you for so long, and not for fun. You need to know how to be grateful, do you understand? Fang Tang's head was lowered very low. He was an adopted child of the Fang family. His adoptive father was busy with his career and rarely came home. His adoptive mother treated him more like a pet, fearing that he would run away when Hugh went off to university. She went so far as to change his university selection, making him take the local university entrance exam in Guangzhou, with a score 50 points higher than the admission line. In fact, his college entrance examination results were good enough to go to Qingbei. Fang Tang had passively accepted this fate since he was a child. He gave up his wish to go to university in Beijing with Yiju, but plucked up the courage to tell his adoptive father that he wanted to study architecture. But his adoptive father, citing the company's need for a successor, forcibly refused and changed his major to business management, something he had absolutely no interest in. I'm talking to you. His adoptive mother raised her voice, dissatisfied. This is all for your own good, see how much mom loves you. I made a whole table of dishes for you, just to nourish your body. How about this, starting next month, you move back home. I'll have Lao Zhong drive you to school every day. Fang Tang felt a rush of dizziness overwhelm him, and his stomach tightened. Faced with a table of his so-called favorite dishes, he couldn't bear to eat a hing. With great difficulty, he endured the meal and returned to his room. In the room, many oil paintings were posted on the wall.
That is a fucking typo. That is a fucking typo.
Thelakanistako says. Nuayo.
Okay, I'll go fix it. Okay.
Originally, it was only his heart that hurt, but now the pain spread to his limbs,
says.
so painful that
I don't like how it pronounced that LOL.
That's a wood.
Thelochinostako says. Nuu. Thelochinostako says. Nuyo.
New Year.
Thelochinostako says. That XD.
Originally, it was only his heart that hurt, but now the pain spread to his limbs, so painful that he couldn't support himself. He fell on the bed, and with his last bit of strength, he picked up his phone and sent a message to Yeju sad smiley I don't want to break up. Then his vision went black, and he fainted completely. And then
the voice decides that it doesn't like
Thelochinostako
it.
says. So many little pieces of things to keep track of, not enough time.
Originally, it was only his heart that hurt, but now the pain spread to his limbs, so painful that he couldn't support himself. He fell on the bed, and with his last bit of strength, he picked up his phone and sent a message to Yejo frowny face I don't want to break up. Then his vision went black, and he fainted completely. Hiss, so cold. When Fong Tang woke up again, he felt a bone-chilling cold. And then pain. So much pain. His whole body hurt. Fong Tang had no idea what had happened to him. He tried to open his eyes and found himself lying outside on a rainy night, in an unfamiliar alley, next to several foul-smelling trash cans. He frowned and tried to get up, but found that he couldn't move at all. Wait. Fong Tang reached out, only to find that his hand was a black, furry paw. He cried out in terror, but found that he was making a woo sound, like the howl of some kind of animal. There was a discarded full-length mirror next to the trash can. Fong Tang, dragging his injured body, struggled to move towards it little by little. Each of his steps was slow and difficult. When he had moved himself in front of the broken mirror, he tried to open his eyes and saw a wet little black cat in the mirror. The little black cat's eyes were wide. It was very small, its entire body curled up, its eyes filled with disbelief. No! He opened his mouth and howled in terror. But he heard himself making a soft, kittenish meow wow, the standard cry of a cat. Fong Tang completely broke down. He had been lying on his bed at home just a moment ago, and the next second, he was lying next to a trash can on a rainy night, turned into a seriously injured, weak little black cat. He had thought his life couldn't get any worse, but it turned out there were even more terrifying things waiting to shatter his bottom line. Fong Tang's mentality completely collapsed. He was usually a good kid in the eyes of others, a nice guy, the type who wouldn't cry out in pain even when hurt. So he bore the pressure of his adoptive parents for so many years, and then endured being dumped like trash by his first love, yet he had never cried a single tear. But at this moment, he couldn't care about that anymore. All these years, all the pent-up frustration burst out at the moment he saw himself in the mirror. Meow. Meow ow. Meow woo ow ow. He cried with heart-wrenching jerks of his little body, but the cries of a weak kitten couldn't travel far in the rainy night. The rain grew heavier, gradually drowning out the kitten's cries. Fong Tang felt his voice gradually weakening, and his consciousness also fading. Just as he was about to pass out, he heard footsteps. A pair of fluorescent green sneakers appeared in front of him. A person.
Mr. Henry says. The heck?
Fong Tang's heart pounded.
What?
His fur stood on end
I'm just
instantly,
listening to
and
a
he used
book while
his
trying to
remaining
read a
strength to maintain
model.
as
You got
much
something
vigilance as
wrong with
possible.
that?
He was no longer a human, but a small kitten. If the person who came was malicious, he would have no ability to protect himself. Ha! Fong Tang heard the other person's curious voice. Then he felt a sharp pain. The other person seemed to wrap him in something and pick him up. Meow. Ah, let me go. Oh, it's a little cat, but you seem to be injured. The speaker was a young man with a rather magnetic voice. Fong Tang initially wanted to struggle, but he felt his whole body wrapped in warmth. His consciousness faded, and his originally tense body seemed to relax uncontrollably. Before passing out, he tried to look at the person's face. He was wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and a mask, so he couldn't see his face. He only saw a pair of beautiful phoenix eyes. Those eyes, also looking at him, seemed to have a compassionate pity, or perhaps only a field of ice. Fong Tang was good at painting, especially good at capturing people's eyes, but at this glance, it cold read his heart, nor did he know whether the newcomer was good or bad. He didn't have time to think further, and simply fainted. Chapter 2. Whoa, he can actually understand cat talk. When Fong Tang opened his eyes again, the phoenix eyes were gone. In their place was a pair of smiling eyes behind glasses, radiating kindness. Oh my, little kitty, you're awake. That wasn't easy. Hey, don't move around. Dr. Luo, Xiao Hei's awake, a pretty girl called out. Soon, another man in a white coat appeared before Fong Tang, first listening to his lungs with a stethoscope before pressing in a different spot. Next, he checked the data on various instruments, and only after a while did he speak in a relaxed tone. Looking good, Xiao Hei seems to have pulled through. Wow, that's amazing. This is already the fourth kitten brought in for emergency treatment this month, but this is the only one that survived. Those cat-abusing perverts are truly despicable, the girl said indignantly. But he's still very small, he needs more rest. Continue the medication today. Okay. Fong Tang realized he had been brought to an animal hospital. Listening to the conversation between the two, it seemed he had been severely injured by someone, and despite treatment, he still wasn't out of danger. Fong Tang narrowed his eyes, wanting to lift his paw to scratch his ear. But even with this slight movement, he felt a pull on his wound, and then a piercing pain. His vision went black, and unintelligible text appeared in his mind. A player has been detected. Binding Doomsday City Building Game. Matching you with existing account, Fong Tang Tang. Binding successful. Fong Tang was completely unable to move during the game binding, until the words binding successful appeared, after which he could finally move his paws again, instinctively waving them in front of him. These words seemed to appear automatically in his brain. The Doomsday City Building Game. Fong Tang remembered that he had indeed downloaded this game before, and Fong Tang Tang was the ID he had casually chosen. Fong Tang looked horrified, his eyes widening. No way. Player can access the system interface in their mind to view system messages. He saw the message appear before him again. Then, as if beyond his control, he brought up the system interface. The interface was exactly the same as the Doomsday City Building game he had played. Only then did Fong Tang finally manage to accept this reality. After transmigrating into a cat, the game he had played had also come along. But what was the use of this suddenly bound game? Fong Tang thought that since he was lying down and unable to move anyway, he might as well open the player attributes interface. Player ID, Fong Tang Tang. Health, 20 out of 100, warning. Satiety, 25 out of 100, warning. Warmth, 70 out of 100. Cleanliness, 10 out of 100, warning. Skills, locked. Talent value, locked. Cards held, none. Overall assessment, The system has detected that the player is nearing a preemptive game over. Please increase health, satiety, and cleanliness to above 30 as soon as possible, and reach the designated location on the map within 72 hours to activate the game. Skills and talents will be unlocked after the game is activated. Fong Tang was speechless for a moment.
Delakinastaco says.
He knew
How
he
goes
was
the
in a
rigging?
bad situation, but he was still shocked to see his dire
it's
stats.
better. How to
When
say?
playing
It's
the Doomsday
easier to
City
do when
building
tired.
game, he would
I
encounter
can
many
rig.
unexpected situations, but as an
I
infrastructure
don't know if this
game,
is
he had never been
good
such
brag
dire
or not, but I
straits
think
that
I
his
can
health
rig
dropped
about
to
half dead.
20%. Even after being rescued and treated, his health was only at 20%. It seemed that if it
It's
weren't
way
for that
easier than
person,
drawing.
he would probably have died next to that trash can. Who was the boy who saved him?
I mean, I could probably draw half
Fong
dead too.
Tang felt from the bottom of his heart that he should thank him properly. He wasn't surprised that his satiety was only 25.
I can't say that's a bad thing.
Between a last-minute rescue and being treated, he hadn't had a chance to eat since being brought to the hospital. As for the abysmal cleanliness value, Fong Tang felt a little embarrassed. When he transmigrated into the little black cat, he was lying next to a trash can in some alley on a rainy night. How clean could such a place be? As for the game's prompt about reaching some designated location within 72 hours, Fong Tang found it even more absurd. In his current half-dead state, surviving for 72 hours would already be a miracle. This period of consciousness didn't last long, and Fong Tang soon drifted back into unconsciousness. However, this time his sleep was restless. His mind was preoccupied with the person who had saved him. He wondered if they would return. He
wonder if
needed
Twitch
to at
is
least
even
see what they
recording
looked like,
VODs.
so he could
I kinda
properly repay
forgot.
them in the future.
Like,
Unfortunately, he never managed to see his savior again. Player, you have 60 hours left to activate the game. Player, you have 40 hours left to activate the game. Player, wake up. You have less than 24 hours left to activate the game.
Delakinastaco says.
Fong Tang
I'm
yawned
regretting
and woke
not
up,
keeping all my
wanting to
files
stretch,
tidy
but a
XD.
searing pain shot through his hind leg wound.
wham.
He bared his teeth and opened his eyes, finding a Dalmatian standing curiously outside his cage, watching him. The Dalmatian leaned closer, sniffing his head, then abruptly gagged, recoiling with an expression of disgust. Fatty, a British short-haired cat in the cage opposite Fong Tang's, erupted into deafening laughter. Fong Tang had never known cats could laugh, let alone laugh so wildly. It was truly rather impolite. His hind leg was still healing, even slight movements sent jolts of pain through him. His temper was understandably frayed. Too lazy to bother with the yapping dog and the cackling cat, he decided to try and sleep some more. Warning! Player, your health and hunger levels have recovered to above 30, but your cleanliness level is still below standard. You have less than 24 hours left to activate the game. We suggest the following cleaning method: licking your fur. Fong Tang fell silent as he read the words floating before his eyes. He still couldn't quite accept the reality of transmigrating into a cat. The words licking your fur stung his eyes. Naturally, he was unwilling, especially since Fong Tang propped himself up on his front paws, bringing his nose close to his belly fur, and sniffed cautiously. Ugh! He caught a whiff of a sewer-like stench emanating from his own fur. No wonder that Dalmatian had gagged after just a sniff. He felt like he was about to throw up himself. The game panel showed his cleanliness was only 10. Smelling this bad, he knew he couldn't be clean. The game's repeated prompts had finally captured his attention. If becoming a cat was now his reality, this game might offer him some extra help. After all, he was now a cat with a golden finger, wasn't he? Although Fong Tang had no idea what kind of golden finger a game called Doomsday City Building could offer a cat. But time was ticking away. If he failed the activation mission, the golden finger might disappear. This realization finally made Fong Tang, who had been mostly unconscious for days, take things seriously. He checked the map panel. The game activation point was just outside the hospital. Fong Tang pondered. To activate this golden finger, he had to clean himself up. He had no choice. After much internal struggle, Fong Tang finally endured the throbbing pain and the nauseating stench, curling his body awkwardly to painstakingly lick his fur, bit by bit. The blue-eyed cat across from him watched with amusement. An inexplicable irritation simmered in Fong Tang's chest, but he could only grit his teeth and keep licking, inch by inch. About 10 minutes later, Fong Tang checked his panel. His cleanliness had only crawled up from 10 to 20.1. Fong Tang felt a wave of despair wash over him. At this rate, how long would it even take? Just then, a shadow fell over him, instinctively tensing Fong Tang's body. Before he could react, he felt himself lifted by the scruff of his neck, like a
Well,
helpless cub.
the shadow didn't tense his fucking
Meow.
body.
The lock in a
That's
stack
a
of
typo.
Fong
says.
Tang flailed his paws in
BRB.
midair,
Hmm.
only to be wrapped in a towel and cradled in someone's arms the next moment. He recognized the familiar scent. Fong Tang narrowed his eyes. Was it him? He tried to lift his head to see the person's face, but heard a magnetic male voice chuckle, hurt this badly and still so feisty. His movements restricted by strong hands, Fong Tang struggled a few times, but realizing it was futile, he could only resignedly let the person handle him. The fingers were slender, the palm large. Fong Tang felt his entire body enveloped in one hand. The palm was warm, gradually easing Fong Tang's initial nervousness. The person picked up a wet wipe and began to carefully clean him, patiently and repeatedly wiping away any dirt he found. Fong Tang had never been cleaned so thoroughly before. Unable to resist, he could only bury his head in the towel. He had been tense and trembling slightly, but the warmth enveloped him, and his kitten body, weakened from his ordeal, couldn't resist the pull of sleepiness. Fong Tang drifted off. When the game prompt woke him again, he realized he had slept for several hours. Player, you have less than 15 hours left. Your health, hunger, and cleanliness levels are all now up to standard. We recommend you depart immediately for the starting point marked on your map. Fong Tang glanced at the panel. Indeed, after being cleaned by that man, his cleanliness had jumped from a mere 10 to 50, a truly astonishing improvement. Recalling the scene just moments ago, Fong Tang felt a flush of heat creep up his face, thankfully hidden beneath his black fur. Did this guy have a cleanliness obsession? He'd wiped him so thoroughly. Of course, the immediate priority wasn't daydreaming. He needed to figure out how to escape this pet hospital as soon as possible. Fong Tang propped himself up and carefully surveyed his surroundings. The ward was currently empty. He used his paws to fiddle with the latch on the cage door. But the latch was on the outside, and he could only barely extend his paw through the bars. Opening the cage was proving difficult. Just as he was starting to get anxious, the blue cat in the opposite cage flipped himself upright and sat up, watching
What
him with
blue
a
cat?
curious gaze. After observing him for so long, Fatty finally spoke. What are you doing? Fong Tang? Had he woken up wrong? He could actually understand a cat talking. This blue cat was called Fatty. He'd been admitted this morning, fresh off neutering surgery. His body and mind were still reeling from the trauma, leaving him in no mood to interact with people, let alone other cats. But his nature was to be a busybody, and after a slight recovery, he'd begun studying the little black cat in the cage across from him. Now, the little black cat was ignoring him, still diligently fiddling with the cage latch. What are you pawing at that thing for? Trying to get out? The more the little black cat ignored him, the more energized Fatty became, teasing the smaller cat. "If you want out, just say so. I have a way." Fatty sat up properly. "Don't you believe me? I can get you out of here." After the initial shock, Fong Tang quickly accepted the reality of understanding cat speech. Right, he was a cat now himself. Was it really that strange to understand his own kind? "What way do you have?" Fong Tang finally turned to look at him and asked. Chapter 3. The goal is to become an infrastructure maniac. Fatty saw that he had finally gotten a reaction and a smug look spread across his face. "Call me bro, and I'll help you." Fong Tang continued to fiddle with the latch, ignoring him. Fatty watched for a while, but the little black cat didn't pay him any more attention. Feeling snubbed, he let out a strange, drawn-out "whoa." Soon, the sound of tap-tap-tap footsteps echoed from outside the ward. The Dalmatian who had previously wandered in reappeared, sauntering around with its head bobbing. It glanced at the little black cat, then at Fatty, finally settling its gaze on Fatty. Fatty jutted his chin towards the little black cat. "Hey, open his door for him." The Dalmatian hesitated, glancing between the little black cat and Fatty, its ears flapping like little drums. "I'll sneak you some jerky when I get out, deal?" Fatty said, a knowing look on his face. The Dalmatian didn't hesitate for even half a second longer. It immediately rushed over to Fong Tang's cage and opened the latch with its mouth. The whole operation was smooth and practiced. However, perhaps remembering the stinky smell of the little black cat from before, the Dalmatian took a few steps back after finishing, and then simply retreated out of the ward altogether. Judging by the practiced ease of their teamwork, this certainly wasn't the first time they had pulled this off. "See? What did I tell you?" Fatty boasted, preening with self-importance. Fong Tang poked his head out of the cage with mixed feelings, then cautiously stepped out onto the floor with hesitant paws. His body still ached, especially around his hind leg hip joint, but he could hobble along, albeit with a limp. Fatty watched his unsteady gait and spoke again. "You're really set on leaving? I'm just giving you a heads up, you know. You might have it good here, but out there you'll have to find your own food and protect yourself." Fong Tang glanced around. It seemed the veterinary hospital staff were all occupied in the emergency room. No one was passing by. Feeling slightly reassured, he looked at the blue and white British shorthair with the half-heart marking on his chest and said, "Bro, I'll remember you. If I get the chancey in the future, I'll repay you." With that, he hobbled away. With his current mobility, jumping out a window was out of the question. He had to resort to the most basic method, walking out the front door. Fortunately, the veterinary hospital's entrance was automatic, and there was no one on duty at the moment. So, he simply walked out of the hospital doors without any obstruction. Fatty watched the small black ball of fur disappear behind the door and sighed deeply, flopping back down in his cage. Sigh, that little guy's got quite the stubborn streak. "Pfft, repay me? As if I need help from some little runt like him." Muttering to himself, he continued to lie in his cage, sighing and groaning about his lost manhood. After escaping the veterinary hospital, Fong Tang quickly realized he was weak and utterly exhausted. He didn't rush to leave. Instead, he hid in the bushes outside the hospital to adjust to the outside light for a while before pulling up the map panel and starting to follow it towards the marked point. The map had initially been completely black, but as he explored, some markers gradually appeared. Guangdu Loving Hearts United Pet Hospital. The place he had just left was marked with these very words. Fong Tang paused, startled. He stopped and looked back. Sure enough, the sign of the pet hospital, not far behind him, bore those exact words. A strange surge of emotion welled up in him. Guangdu, this was actually Guangdu? Could it be that even though he had transmigrated into a cat, he was still in his familiar city? He wondered if he had also traveled through time, or perhaps to a parallel world. Was it possible? Could he still be in his original world, just as a cat in it? This realization filled Fong Tang with a sudden burst of motivation. He dragged his injured hind leg, struggling forward. With each step of exploration, more and more of the map became visible. He saw that he was getting closer and closer to the marked location. Perhaps it was because everything had been going too smoothly that Fong Tang gradually lowered his guard. Suddenly, his scalp prickled with a sense of unease, a premonition of danger. Before he could react, a dark shadow lunged out from behind him. A sharp claw lashed out towards his flank. Fong Tang instinctively ducked, narrowly avoiding the attack. Warning! Player is under deadly attack. Player's agility and physical strength are insufficient to contend with the opponent. Please proceed immediately to the map marker location. Entering the 100-meter radius of the marked location will grant 24-hour novice protection privilege. Fong
The
Tang only
Lochinestaco
caught a
says,
glimpse of his attacker,
AHH.
a large, menacing dog.
Mm,
Ignoring the pain in his injured leg, he
The
took off like
Lochinestaco
his life
says,
depended on it,
I got buttered
sprinting
bread.
towards the map
why
marker.
would you eat now? No.
The vicious dog seemed
Bad
determined not to let the
decisions.
little black cat
You're not
escape.
supposed to eat
Relying
burger
on its
3
size
hours
advantage,
before
it
you're
chased
supposed to
after
sleep.
him.
You broke the
Just as
rules.
it was
And that's
about
all
to catch
carbs
up,
and
it
fat.
extended
That's
a
not
claw
even
again,
valuable
aiming to
food.
swipe down at
I
small
am
black cat.
disappointed. I do not approve.
But
Put
against
it
all
back
odds,
at that
the
fridge.
fleeing little black cat seemed to have a sixth sense. It adjusted its direction mid-run, flattening itself to the ground once more, dodging the attack again. Time and again, Fong Tang narrowly evaded the dog's attacks.
The Lochinestaco
It
says,
was pure luck
half
and his
of it is
desperate
insta of my
agility in
already.
flight that saved him from
Yeah,
fatal
well,
injury.
I don't care. Dig it back
After
out. Put
several
it
failed
away.
attempts, the dog's aggression
Bad,
escalated.
bad decisions.
It became even more determined to catch the little black cat. It had initially intended only to play with its prey, but now, a murderous glint flashed in its eyes. Just as the dog launched another deadly attack, the little black cat in front of it suddenly vanished into thin air. Woof woof. Grr.
The Lochinestaco
The dog
says,
spun around in
not the
confusion,
best,
barking in
but I
frustrated
gotta stay fully awake for a
bewilderment.
few more hours.
The little black cat's scent was still nearby, but
Bad
no matter how it
decisions,
circled,
bad
it couldn't find
decisions.
him. The dog practically tore up the nearby grass, even digging several holes in the ground in frustration, but it still couldn't find the little black cat that had escaped from under its claws. At this point, Fong Tang collapsed to the ground, utterly drained. Gasping for breath, he looked back at brownish-yellow dog. It was still searching frantically less than 10 meters behind him, completely
The
oblivious to his
Lochinestaco
presence
says,
as if blind.
it is just a today thing.
Was
I
this
gotta
the
get as much
novice
as I can
protection
get down now.
privilege the game had mentioned?
Me, 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 me.
Thank goodness for this privilege, or he would have already been ripped apart by the vicious dog's teeth. After
The
catching his
Lochinestaco
breath a
says,
little, Fong Tang
game
forced
jam ends
himself
tomorrow
to stand
morning.
again and continued towards the map marker. The area nearby was a
Well, that
construction
is
site, littered
not
with
very much
construction
time.
waste. Fong Tang's progress was slow and difficult.
Aim for more
Finally,
time
he reached
managing
the
the
red
next
dot
one.
marked on the
Yeah.
map. The moment his front paw touched the red dot, a game prompt popped up. Congratulations, player. The game has detected that you have arrived at the marked location. Initial mission complete. Game activated. Novice gift pack has been issued. Please check your inventory. Warning, after game activation, you have a 24-hour novice protection period. After this period, protection will only be available within your own territory. Fong Tang felt a slight sense of relief. At least for the next 24 hours, he didn't have to worry about his safety. The panel continued to display prompts. With the game now activated, more detailed data appeared before his eyes. Player ID, Fong Tang Tang. Health points, 32/100. Hunger, 35 out of 100, warning. Warmth, 50/100. Cleanliness, 50 out of 100. Intelligence, 1000/100. Jump, 5/100. Agility, 10 out of 100. Strength, 7/100. Talent, God level architect, all building blueprints unlocked. Skills learned, none. Cards, none. Items, none. Equipment, none. Novice Gift Pack unopened, contains an important game instruction. Overall assessment, player has temporarily escaped mortal danger, but all stats are extremely weak. Please open the Novice Gift Pack as soon as possible. Fong Tang noticed that all his stats were frighteningly low, except for intelligence, which was exceptionally high. This was probably because after he turned into a cat, his intelligence was being measured against the upper limit for cats.
Thelokinistako
Another
says,
thing that caught his attention
why is my
was
text
that he had
inside of
already
dialog
unlocked
boxes
all
not
building
keeping all the
blueprints
text
as soon
capitals?
as he
It
entered
keeps
the
the
game.
first letters of sentences, but now how I type it.
In
Weird.
Doomsday City Building, a base building game, players
Maybe
normally
it's
had to
just like a
level up and
limit
fight
of the
monsters to
engine
slowly
or
unlock
whatever.
various building blueprints.
Thelokinistako says,
Unexpectedly,
oh
Fong
NVM,
Tang had
I'm
unlocked
dumb,
all
ignore.
of them right after activating the
Okay.
game. This was probably because back when his father had switched his major, feeling dejected, he had become addicted to this base building game. While other players focused on killing more zombies to increase their combat power, he had only been obsessed with unlocking all the building
Thelokinistako
blueprints.
says,
After unlocking
it
them
was the
all, he
dialogue
had
for a
stopped
different
logging into the
NPC.
game.
Mm.
He never imagined that after transmigrating into a cat and inexplicably becoming bound to this game, Fong Tang would see these unlocked blueprints again in the game panel. With complex emotions, Fong Tang opened the Novice Gift Pack. Novice Gift Pack includes Storage Backpack *1, Invisible, Current Space, 3 slots, each slot can hold 10 identical items, maintaining item state upon storage, Novice Territory Marker *1, Random Card Draw Chance *1. Fong Tang, a former player of this game, easily understood these terms. The storage backpack was self-explanatory. It was like having an invisible personal inventory. He could put any resources he found while exploring into the backpack. The territory marker was for establishing his own area. Once he marked a territory in a certain location, other people or animals couldn't trespass without permission. It could isolate him from most dangers. Fong Tang knew the territory marker was a good thing, but it shouldn't be used carelessly. He had to wait until he found a suitable place to deploy it. He then turned his attention to the random card draw. He hoped to draw a stat-boosting card or add a fence card, something that could help him survive once the novice protection period ended and he encountered danger again. In the original game, players initially wanted resources most, but without skills, they lacked the ability to obtain more resources. Even if they were lucky enough to find some, they might not be able to protect them. He had drawn cards in the game before. He remembered drawing an SSR card back then. The skill was close combat. After learning it, his combat power had increased significantly. Congratulations, player! You have drawn a fish-catching skill learning card, rank R. Fong Tang sighed. Fish catching, huh? Not exactly a powerful skill, but for a kitten, it was okay, he supposed. After resting for a while, Fong Tang felt his strength returning a little. He gathered his thoughts. His most pressing task right now was to search the vicinity again and find a relatively safe and reliable place to place the territory marker. This way, he would have somewhere to settle down for the night and a safe base to retreat to after the 24-hour novice protection period ended. Besides that, he also needed to find something to eat before his hunger level dropped to a dangerous level, or he might starve to death. Fong Tang consulted the map and looked around. The surrounding area was a construction site. Not only was it full of useless construction waste, but the constant flow of people made it dangerous. Clearly, it didn't meet the requirements for establishing a territory. Fong Tang studied the map for a while, then chose a direction, intending to drag his injured leg forward and continue exploring to see if there was a more suitable location. He had barely taken 2 steps when a prompt popped up on the panel. Player, you have an important game instruction pending. Read now? Fong Tang selected yes. Game instruction, you have transmigrated into a cat and are currently living in your original world. If you can obtain the Infrastructure Maniac title within the reasonable lifespan of a cat, you will return to your original body. During the game period, your original body will be managed by the system. You can approach your original body, family, and friends, but please note, time is limited. If you fail to obtain the Infrastructure Maniac title by the end of your cat lifespan, the challenge will be considered a failure, and you will never return to your original body. Fong Tang read the prompt over and over again. The information overload stunned him. Fong Tang had only been guessing before, but he hadn't expected the game to directly tell him that he was indeed living in his original world, and could even approach his original self. His original body was now being managed by the system. He wondered if it would exhibit any strange behaviors or give anything away when interacting with others. And, to Fong Tang's slight relief, as long as he could obtain the Infrastructure Maniac title in the game, he could avoid being a stray cat and return to his original body. Fong Tang breathed a sigh of relief. Even though his original life had been a mess, he was still a human, still had school to attend and things to do. It was far better than this current life of sleeping in the open and worrying about where his next meal would come from. After the initial excitement, Fong Tang gradually calmed down. For now, the only thing he could do was to survive in this world as a cat. Chapter 4. Establishing a novice territory. Following his decision, Fong Tang left the marked location and continued exploring. Although he hadn't left Guangdu City, he rarely ventured beyond school and home. He was completely unfamiliar with this area, so to him, it was no different from exploring a strange city. Leaving the construction site behind, the residential areas became denser. His injury made every step a struggle. He had intended to keep going, but suddenly he heard a voice, "Don't go that way. That's a wholesale market. It's crowded in the mornings, but now everyone's gone. There's nothing there." Fong Tang turned around and saw a white cat calling out to him. He was grimy and looked rather unwell. But the cat was being kind, and he appreciated it. "Thanks." He was about to take another path when he looked up and saw a street sign, Hailu Garment Wholesale City. Fong Tang was slightly taken aback. It was actually here. He wasn't familiar with other places, but he knew this wholesale district. It was only 2 kilometers away from his university, Guangdu University. The white cat was right. The garment wholesale district was indeed bustling in the mornings, but deserted in the afternoons. Getting lost inside and being unable to find food would be terrible. The white cat's warning made Fong Tang feel grateful and trusting. "Do you know where I can find food around here?" The white cat sized up the little black cat, his expression complicated, seemingly conflicted. The first rule of survival for a stray cat was, ignore other cats. Dabai had learned this the hard way. Plus, his white fur made him a target of discrimination among cats. He was struggling to survive himself, let alone help other cats. But the little black cat in front of him looked truly pitiful. He was so small and thin, clearly weak and frail.
Racism cat sim.
And worst of all, he was injured, walking with a limp. In Dubai's experience, this little black cat would either freeze or starve to death, or fall sick and be bullied to death by other cats. In short, he wouldn't survive more than 3 days. He turned his head to leave, forcing himself not to look, not to think, not to care. But after taking 2 steps, he stopped again, turning back to stare intently at the little black cat. Fong Tang felt a bit uneasy under the white cat's gaze. Not only had he not answered his question, but his reaction was also strange. Dubai stared at him for a moment before finally speaking, "Follow me." The white cat's odd reaction made Fong Tang, who had just started to trust him, become wary again, but, being unfamiliar with the area and newly a cat, trusting this cat was probably the smartest choice. So, Fong Tang followed the white cat through several alleys, gradually moving towards a more densely built-up area. Passing by a restaurant, Fong Tang inadvertently glanced at the shop sign, Xianhua Village's #1 fried rice. He was slightly stunned. It was actually here? Although he had never been here, he had heard of the place name. Xianhua Village was only 2-3 kilometers from his university, Guangdu
says.
University.
BRB.
It was the largest urban village in Guangdu, home to many migrant workers. 11 small garment workshops here. The area was densely populated, and there must be many stray animals. Fong Tang felt he had made a wise choice in following the white cat here. He was sure to find a suitable habitat to survive. Dubai noticed that although the little black cat was struggling, he hadn't complained once and was trying hard to keep up. His heart softened, and he led into a secluded alley, retrieving a small pastry, carefully packaged, from under a pile of debris. "This is food I saved up with great difficulty. You eat it first." Fong Tang looked down at the pastry. The expiry date printed on it showed it was 3 days past its prime. But luckily, it was still in its wrapper, so it was relatively clean. Fong Tang didn't stand on ceremony. He tore open the packaging and took a big bite. Although it was expired, the pastry didn't smell off. Fong Tang was usually a picky eater, but his stomach was already growling. Such a small snack wouldn't provide much energy,
says.
but at least it
Honestly,
could raise his
this
satiety
is great to listen
level
to
a
while
bit.
working.
Dubai didn't leave immediately. Seeing the little black cat gratefully eating the pastry, he couldn't help but nag a little more. "This area is a bit better than the garment wholesale market, but you're still small. After you eat, you should quickly find a place to hide. Don't let the adult cats find you." The cats hardened like strangers. If possible, it's best to find a human family who can shelter you. Fong Tang asked curiously, "Why haven't you found one?" Dubai paused for 2 seconds. I missed my chance. I'm already this old. No one would want me. Besides, people find my fur dirty. You're still young. Humans like kittens. You have more of a chance than I do." Seeing that the little black cat had almost finished eating, Dubai didn't want to linger any longer. "Take care of yourself. I'm leaving." Fong Tang called out to him, "Is there any open space nearby, preferably with shelter, and not frequented by people?" Dubai's expression changed when he heard this. "There is, but that place isn't suitable for you." Hearing that there was a suitable place, Fong Tang quickly pressed, "Where is it? Can you take Med here?" Dubai said seriously, "Although people don't go there, Big Howl, Leopard, Seven Scar, and the others always like to have their fight."
Alright, 2 more minutes, and then I'm done.
He fell on the bed, and with his last bit of strength, he picked.
Oh, great. Now it wants to restart, like all the way at chapter 1.
Thelochinostako says. Sounds like a good plan. Thelochinostako says. Rip.
Now it doesn't want to start. That is fine.
Thelochinostako says. That is just fine, other things to do.
Yeah, like sleep.
Thelochinostako says. Plus 'tis the hour mark. Thelochinostako says. Sleep time e.
Yep, and just hope I don't oversleep.
Thelochinostako says. Work has been done, good things.
Meow, 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 meow.
Thelochinostako says.
Alright,
Go sleep, get up and survive work K.
that's good. I'll just tell you the chaos of today's work in brief. Alright, there are lots of machines at work. I only work on one machine.
Thelochinostako
It's
says.
a multi-person machine.
Tell me.
Alright, there are like 3 of these multi-person machines. We'll call them A6. No, we'll call them A5, A6, and A7. Alright, I work on A7. I come in. A5 is dead because a really important belt broke. Now, belts and machinery terms. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know, but imagine, okay, a belt like drives a lot of the gears that go up and down under the machine. Like these are belts that are like like an adult man's hand wide. Alright, so spread out your fingers and imagine a belt that wide. And like as long as your wingspan, probably longer. They go under the machine and there's a motor that it spins around the motor, but then that drives a lot of gears going up and down, and all sorts of things rely on that in the machine to work. And this one just broke. And also it broke all the backups. Like over all the times they've been trying to make this machine work. They wore through all the backups. So that'll be interesting. There's
The lock in a stacko says. Book that's rough.
Alright, so imagine this. I started the machine a 7 with 6 people. We were planned to have 4, but then because a 5 went down, we got 2 more, so we had 6 people. Alright, joyful. Well, then A6 went down. A6 was running wonderfully yesterday. Like record numbers. And then they decided to change something yesterday night. The machines, they run different materials, blah, 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 blah. They wanted to change it to a different sized final product. Well, joyful. Turns out it was scratching the final product somehow. Well, that's not good. Alright, so imagine, the pieces going fine, they come out scratched. Why? We must investigate this and take apart everything. Alright, so that was fixed. And then it started rejecting a lot of parts. And oh no, that's not good. Well, turns out it was like a part issue that was very like minuscule, like none of the people could understand why, but the machine was like, I don't want it. Whatever, so that went down for a while. So for a small bit, we had like 8 people on A7. Then they sent home a lot of the people doing overtime. So, and then A6 went back up. So we were back at a total of 5 people. No, wait. Yes, 5 people. We were at a total of 5 people. And then something on A7 broke. So for anyone keeping score, A5 went down, and A5 stayed down. A6 was up, and then down, and then up, and then down, and then up. A7 had been chugging along until the thing I knew was gonna happen happened. And I tried to warn people because I saw the signs. But the technicians were so busy trying to fix everything else that was going on that only after it fucking kaputted for good did they come over. Which is, that is the life. So that was that for... luckily, it was just a blown power connector. It was actually very interesting. The tech showed me, and it was like, alright, so a power plug, right? Imagine a power plug.
The lock in a stacko
And
says.
it's fucking black inside.
Damn, dominoes.
Fucking dominoes everywhere. Okay, just imagine, you take a plug out of a socket, and you see black ashes or like black residue around where the connector point. You're like, that's not good, is it? But they replaced it. They had a backup. Because, like, this thing has, like, 4 of them. So they gotta have backups.
The lock in a stacko
Anyway.
says. Suboptimal.
But they replaced it. They were worried it was actually gonna be a bad motor, which would have taken a hell of a lot more effort to fix. They would have to take apart, like a lot of things to get to the motor in the first place. So it's good that the lead tech was like, I followed the context clues, and he explained to me a bit. He was like, I was looking at the schematics. And then and I was like, I understand. Alright, so that was fixed. But then, right as I go to my final break,
The
a
Lockinestaco says.
conveyor stops
Many
running.
understands.
It stopped spinning. And we thought it was just jammed, so we wiggled it a bit, and okay, it went back to working. All good, right? Well, turns out that as soon as I left the room to go to my last break, it stopped again, and then again. And they were like, Wales, I think something's wrong here. So they went and got a tech, and it turns out that the drive belt, alright? So just imagine, you have the motor, which spins the drive belt, which spins the conveyor. The drive belt was worn down to nubs and flatness. So it wasn't, like, the motor couldn't grip anything to drive. So that's why it was skipping, because there were, like, half of it was but still had nubs, and the other half was just worn down to nothing. Probably because of all the times it got jammed and people pushed it to keep it going. I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of possibilities. But anyhow, so that had to be
Lockinestaco
replaced.
says. Preventative maintenance.
What does that mean? I don't know what you mean. But anyhow, they had to go look around and try to find the replacement drive belt. And in the end, they did find it.
Toyabaku says.
Ooh.
Been here the whole time, just had you on in the background. Love the progress, looks nearly finished.
Well, I really appreciate you being here, even if I'm in the background. Hope you're having a good night. I'm about to go
The
to bed.
Lockinestaco says. Sounds like the repair guys earned their money today.
Oh yeah, but tomorrow the lead guy is taking his mandatory rest day. This guy, 12-hour shifts. He works like
Toyabaku
5 days
says.
a week.
Funny story, I had to help
Ooh.
someone else with their OBS streaming.
Well, you know, the best way to learn is to teach. I hope you help them and I hope you learn stuff. But then who will I teach if you already know everything? No, but it was half hilarious, half sad. While he was fixing the power connector thing, the other tech was like, "That's it, your vacation day is revoked. You're coming back in tomorrow." And I was just sad for him. But then I realized
The
if he had a
Lockinestaco
vacation day
says.
tomorrow.
Teach me when I try to use OBS again XD. Juki
Ooh.
Holic says. But there is funnier story with the nightmare monster.
I don't want a nightmare monster. I'm about to go to bed. I cannot bear
Toyabaku
nightmares.
says. Nah, I don't know much. Just helped with game capture.
Alright. You help with game capture. I bet you
The
I can help them
Lockinestaco
capture
says.
the audio.
No
better.
nightmare.
You know, if you're using desktop audio capture, you're committing a sin to God.
Juki Holic says. Oh gosh, that nightmare monster is wonderful.
What are you dating Cthulhu or something? Are we playing that date the what's that called? Esoteric monsters? No, like
Juki
unholy
Holic says.
creature beyond our
His name is Chauncey.
relations.
The Lockinestaco says.
Haven't heard of it.
Sounds kinky.
He reminds me of, I don't know. His name reminds me of the characters from Mouthwashing. Is there any connection? No. I can't even remember what the captain's name is. It's not Chippy. Curly. Alright, that's why. Alright, well, the captain's name is Curly, and Chauncey just reminds me of Curly. But
Juki
anyhow.
Holic says. Chance is a guy that is a nightmare in my time. The Lockinestaco says. Finish your story and go to bed.
I don't know what my time is. But anyhow, the lead tech is gonna be taking one of his very deserved vacation days tomorrow. Because, you know, this fucking dude works, I think, 5 or 6 days, 12-hour shifts a week because they need him. He is good at his job. Too good. They won't let him rest.
Juki Holic
We
says.
don't have him.
He throws the blanket off my of mine.
I think you're missing words, but it's fine. I mean, just staple a blanket to yourself. Or tie it down. Sleeping bag yourself. You know. But words. Anyway, they might bring in
The
Steven.
Lockinestaco says. XD dude good at his job.
Yeah, but Steven is not good at his job, and Steven also pisses me off royally. So, I might come home early. I have told my
Velocinistaco
superiors if
says.
Steven comes in
Whoa.
and he annoys me at all, I'm going home. And I don't know, I'll fake a vomit if I have to.
Velocinistaco says. Have you told me about Steven?
I have told you about Steven, but the rumors just get worse and worse. You think you're living in 2025 and you hear rumors that some guy is bragging about knocking up a girl who quit. I mean, like, I will not get into this,
Velocinistaco
but I
says.
think he is trash
I don't
human.
remember Steven.
Well, you don't remember anyone, sir. Ooh. I don't know. I've gotten everyone else I don't like fired. Why can't I get this dipshit fired? Lordy, lordy, lordy. Everything he does annoys me. He will write on the downtime sheet, machine running
Velocinistaco says.
okay.
Who else got fired?
Wah ha ha ha. Wah ha ha ha. No, but really, this dude will write on the log, machine running okay, even as they do not make any of the goals. Shut the fuck up. Don't write anything if you don't have anything productive to write. He writes on my sheet and I'm deleting it. And I'll delete it every single time. It'll be my passive-aggressive nightmare. Oh, lordy, lordy. Oh, lordy, lordy.
Velocinistaco says. Did the person I hate get fired?
Jeffrey the creep? No, he's still there. Forever and ever. He does his job. Whatever. He hasn't...
Velocinistaco says. Damn.
Like, whatever. He doesn't make contact with me, so
Velocinistaco
we're all
says.
good.
Leaves you alone though.
Yep, that's all I can ask for. Steven, I think it's... The thing with Steven is he whistles, and when he whistles, I get so triggered. It makes me want to just sing opera, and I know that's just going down his level. But I swear, it's just some instinct in me that makes me go feral. I'm not cut out for human interaction, okay? And like my favorite person on the machine says he's gonna leave so he can go back to college. What's that about?
Velocinistaco says. That's how I feel lately.
Well, your feelings are no. Alright, well, I'm just saying no. Your feelings are worries. I'm just saying that I don't like the people I don't like. Alright, I saved the GIF.
Velocinistaco
It's
says.
now saving.
That's fair XD.
I saved the file. It's now saved. Look at the girl. Yeah.
Velocinistaco says. Shep.
Alright, good
Velocinistaco
night.
says. Okay, go to sleep. Velocinistaco
3
says.
hours.
Talk more another time. Velocinistaco says. GN. Velocinistaco says. Be safe, take care.
I will try to take care of my mental health. Physical health. I mean, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Bye. You go to sleep too. Get enough progress.
Velocinistaco says. Both.
Play. No more buttered bread.
Velocinistaco says. I will soon.
Heathen.